on blast.
And we are live. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. And as always, this episode Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the East End of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. And as a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call, 416-917-4833 to book your appointment now. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, joined by my guy Bellamo. What's up, my dude? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. You?
I mean, I'm all right, but not as good as the Raps.
I'm gonna admit something. I thought that after the game on Friday in New Orleans, given that it's Mardi Gras, I thought the Raptors would have traded in their jump shot for some beats, and they would have came out sluggish. Nope. Wow.
They came out looking
Played
good,
man.
I'm going to
Great
second
game.
that because what I thought and what I wrote down, I tweeted this out as well.
Yep.
The Raptors had a Saturday night off in Miami.
Yeah.
A Saturday night in Miami for normal folk is a pretty good time.
Mm-hmm.
A Saturday night in Miami when you're an NBA player,
It was a great time.
what a time to be alive. So I thought the Raptors, Saturday night off in Miami, an afternoon
Noon
game the next day, with an hour less of sleep
Yep.
and no Kawhi, I've said I'll be very impressed if the Raptors win this game.
Yep. I was the
Not
same-
that I
was
thought
in
they were
the same
going to
boat.
lose, but I would be impressed with the victory.
I thought it'd be a
And
close one.
they basically ran the Heat out of the
Wiped them
gym. No, like it wasn't a close game,
No.
really.
No.
It was kind of only became close when
Yeah,
the Miami
near the end
Heat,
of the second quarter. Yeah.
but only too when the Raptors kind of allowed the Heat to get back in
Yeah.
the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Raptors were in total control, and one of the big themes that I talked about in the game against the Pelicans that transferred over to this game as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors were totally focused on setting the pace and the tempo in this game. I haven't even said the score yet. That's how hyped
Yeah,
I am.
what's up, guys?
125-104. Raptors win.
Big win.
125-104. And the Toronto Raptors, this was a game, I mentioned no Kawhi Leonard. Patrick McCaw got the start, which at first I was kind of like, oh, okay. But it was explained by Nick Nurse and makes total sense. He looked like a genius
his
with this one.
explanation?
He said that he wanted to keep the bench unit of Jeremy Lin, OG, and Norman Powell together so that they continue to get reps and build chemistry together. So putting McCaw in the starting lineup allows you to keep that rotation going.
Yeah.
Also, another thing, if we look at since Fred VanVleet's gone down with injury, Norm had a shot at the starting when Kawhi was out of the lineup. OG also had a shot at it. And Jeremy Lin did as well, and they all struggled.
So was McCaw.
So that's that's also another point there. But
worked.
hey, McCaw played great.
Yeah, he did.
The Raptors as a team played great, and
He hit all his threes too, I think.
well,
Three?
the Raptors were
Oh, yeah.
just on
Speaking of threes.
fuego, right?
Yeah.
The stat is what? Franchise record, 21 made threes for the Toronto Raptors in this game. They shot 52% from the three-point line.
Lights out.
Is this the peak of what this team is when they're shooting threes like that? I know Kawhi Leonard's not there, but I'm just talking about if this team knocks down threes, can they be beat by anyone in the Eastern Conference?
Well, I mean, it'd be tough to beat them like this, but yeah, they're making their shots. But another point too was they're 13-1. I think it was when they have 30 or more assists.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing you noticed was the shot was going down, especially from three, but the ball movement was smooth.
Incredible ball
It was
movement.
nice.
Yeah.
And I even made the point too. I was like, I'd love to know the stat, but it seems like sometimes maybe the ball movement isn't that smooth when Kawhi's in because it's more of an ISO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They play a little bit fresher, and it was an A+ game today.
I think
A+ game. I know it was Miami, but still A+ by the Raptors without Kawhi especially.
I definitely think that, especially early on in the season, the ball movement lacked with Kawhi. And,
Yeah. Getting to
he
know
was
each other.
more, and I think they've gotten a bit better. Even in the game on Friday, we were talking about that a bit. The ball movement was great. And Kawhi was getting such easy baskets on that game on Friday where he was getting a lot of layups, he was getting a lot of dunks. Everything was towards the basket. And this game as well, the other genius part of what Nick Nurse did in putting McCaw in the starting lineup, he also had McCaw play defense full court. So McCaw was guarding Justice Winslow, who's not really a point guard, but they've had the most success this season for Miami with him at the starting point guard spot. So McCaw playing defense on him like that, full court, that is also giving the Raptors a chance to set the pace and set the tempo and speed up the game. Because Miami wants to play slow. They want to play in the half court.
Yeah.
The Raptors, no. They want your guy, Siakam,
Oh, yeah.
up and down, running the floor, getting all those leak out passes from Kyle Lowry. Pascal Siakam had another very good game with 20 points on 8 of 12 shooting,
Yeah, he was all over.
add in 5 rebounds, add in 5 assists, and he took like the fourth quarter off.
Yeah.
But Pascal, the glow up continues. Are you even surprised by anything that this kid does now, or it's just like, no, I expect it now?
No, like I said the last Sunday of the podcast I was on, he's our perfect second scorer. You know what I mean? It feels like there's no pressure on him too, right? It's not like he has to score this. He just does. And Kyle's getting them. They're playing great with Kyle as well. Even when Kawhi's in, I know Kawhi wasn't in tonight. He's playing up to expectations. He's playing just as good with Kawhi and a full team as he is when Kawhi's not in. We'll say maybe a little bit more pressure or load on him, right?
Yeah.
The glow up's real. Siakam's, I don't know, D'Lo might have something to say with this, but as far as it stands, by my point, the Raptors have the most improved player in the league.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And the other thing, too, that I found interesting about Pascal Siakam this season is the fact that he gets probably 8 to 10 points a game just off hustle.
Yes.
So it's just running the floor, keeping that pace. Kyle Lowry's finding him on the leak outs, but it's just him hustling and running the floor.
Scouting report from remember back.
Yeah, totally.
That was his scouting report. This kid hustles.
He just goes. The motor is crazy. The motor that, people laugh on draft night because keeps getting brought up by Jay Billis or whoever's on the draft shows. They talk about motor, and it's like when you watch Pascal Siakam, that's what that term means because he just doesn't stop.
And I mean, besides Anunoby, who's an athletic player, we don't really have someone like Siakam. Not like we have 2, 3, right? Yeah. So he kind of stands out in that sense, and it's good to have a player like that, right?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thing to see just how much, like, if Leo talked about it during the game, but if you're a young kid watching basketball and you're just seeing how much effort, like how much of Siakam's success is just because of effort.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to see what this kid is doing for the Raptors being such a big, huge part of the team. And it's turning its effort on both ends of the floor because it's turning defense into offense, and it's crazy. But let's go through a bit of just what happened in the game. We'll wrap through that quickly. I'll just kind of gloss over that.
Yep.
But early on, again, getting out and running, Lowry pushed the pace. Raptors had an early 11-2 run, big first quarter. And it was great passing from Lowry, great passing from Lowry to Danny Green. Danny Green was hitting those threes early.
Some nice in-your-face run up, off the dribble, swish.
And when those are going in,
Yeah.
the Raptors are a difficult team to stop. But when you're getting this production from your perimeter players from three-point land, Kyle Lowry was 6 of 11 from 3.
Yeah.
Danny Green was 5 of 8 from 3. And Patrick McCaw was 3 of 3 from 3. Tongue twister there. 3 of 3 from 3. Got it? Yeah, cool.
Got it.
Okay. So when you have your perimeter players shooting the lights out like that, and then you have Norm coming off the bench to go 3 of 5, that's just incredible play, and it started from the beginning. You could tell it was kind of the game plan, push the pace. They started out knocking down threes like crazy, and even when you get to halftime, Raptors were up. 4 of their starters were in double digits.
Yeah.
And they had 19 assists on their first 24 made field goals.
The thing, too, about just before halftime, which I think was probably, I mean, I know it was a blowout, guys, but there was a turning point in this game. And it was just before the half. Miami started pushing their way back. I don't know. Was it Bam Adebayo had that technical that?
Yes. He hung on the rim.
So I mean, Miami was kind of pushing. You could see maybe this is where the Raptors start to look a bit sluggish. I think Nurse might have put back in his starting lineup of McCaw, Ibaka, Green, right? And then they went on a 14-0 run. And the next thing you know, that was from the half, and you never look back from there, right?
Yeah, it was crazy, right? The shots, and the key was when Miami made the run, it could have been way worse, but the Raptors at least maintained some level of defensive intensity to keep it to bend but not break.
It was about
to
a
use
3-point.
that old
Miami
adage,
came
right?
to within 3, I think, right?
Totally,
and then went back to 10.
The run just came out of nowhere. McCaw hit a big 3. He hit 2 big threes in that run. Also, you mentioned the Kyle or even Serge Ibaka had a big 3 in that 14-0 run as well. And just before the half, it's just like, nope, calm down.
We got this.
We got this. No worries at all. We probably, it's much better to enjoy Club Live on the Sunday. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. They got a game tomorrow. They're not staying in Miami
Well,
tonight.
I mean, the
I'm
crowd
joking.
could have got into it at that point,
Yeah,
right? And it kind of just quieted them down.
Definitely. And when you're getting that kind of production, there's the other part of it was, so McCaw plays great. They shoot a bunch of threes. The ball movement was crazy. I wrote down what the crazy start was from the ball movement, but now I can't find it because, of course, but I'm going to keep talking until I find the stat here, but I can't find it, so I'm just going to switch
We'll
gears.
get back to it. I'll remember.
But here's the thing, right? The Toronto Raptors, when you're shooting like that from three, it's tough to stop that team.
Yes.
First off. Secondly, the ball movement. And that's a part where Marc Gasol comes in because there's so much talk still about Gasol and Serge and all that stuff and how is this going to work? Who starts? Who comes off the bench? And they talked about it during the broadcast. But Marc Gasol, Leo was talking about it. He said Marc Gasol's thing is he doesn't care about stats. He's like, the stats don't matter to him. He doesn't care about who comes off the bench or who starts. His assist numbers, people pay attention to it a lot. When it's successful, when it's not there, you think that, oh, he might have had a bad game. But the reality is he's saying that he's just worried about making the correct pass. And that's all you can do. And you see a lot of the hockey assists where it's just ball movement, and that becomes contagious. I think that's the thing that is so cool to see because it's not always going to be stat sheet stuff for Marc Gasol. It's other little things. The intangibles.
Leadership as well.
Yeah, there's a great play early on.
Opens the floor.
Yeah, there's a great play early on where he's on with the bench unit with Norm, OG, Jeremy Lin, and Powell had the ball at the top of the key. And you can see Gasol look over at OG and waves him off, like clear out, clear out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they ran the side pick and roll, him and Norm. Norm hits him with the nice pass, gets the bucket. And it's just, you see the confidence building with him that he can start, conducting things, let's say, on the offensive end. And we know the same thing with the defense.
Yep.
Because the defense happened, Leo pointed it out. It was a pick and roll play, and he hedges out so far on Dwayne Wade, forces him into a turnover. It's those little things. It's not going to be in the box score, but it's those intangibles to me that in the playoffs,
of course,
that's wins you games.
Yeah, and the big debate. I mean, I guess when you're in this kind of position as the Raptors are in there, you nitpick a bit, right? Toronto fans do that, but
it's a great problem to have.
The big debate is Gasol starts or Gasol comes off the bench, right? And I mean, either way, I don't think you could go wrong.
Yeah.
But like you were just saying there with McCaw and with Powell, he just makes everybody better, especially the young guys, right? Yeah. And that's no knock on Ibaka. That's the one thing that Ibaka can't do. And Gasol can make those young players better. And they respect them, right? And like you said, the ball movement, the pick and rolls, all that, and it's just it's so fluent and it's effortless. And it doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but you see those little things, right? If you're basketball, you see those stuff, and
when I get hype, I'm a basketball nerd, but I get hype when I see Gasol diving on the ground for loose balls. It's like I don't see many centers do that.
The stat line wasn't crazy tonight.
No.
But it's all the other intangible things that he does, right?
And part of the assist numbers being that high, right? It's the pass before the assist as well. And those are the things that will be so key for the Raptors because, hey, Kyle can shoot threes really well. Danny Green, same thing. McCaw can hit an open three.
Yep.
Lynn can hit an open three. Norm can hit all those guys. So ball movement will always win. Always. Someone tweeted during the game, I forget who it was, but they were saying, is this the Raptors or Golden State Warriors you're watching? And it was just because the pace of play was so crazy.
Yeah.
They're up and down, getting up and down so quickly, but also the open shots, the threes. It was either layups or threes, and they ran Miami out of the gym. They've beaten Miami now. They're 3-0 versus Miami this season.
Yeah.
Miami could be a potential first-round matchup.
Yep.
And, hey, if you're the Raps, cool, no worries.
One more thing about Gasol too is he's playing very unselfish right now.
Yeah,
everyone knows he's a great 3-point shooter for a big man. That's gonna come.
Yeah,
right, guys. Like trust me, that's gonna come when he gets more comfortable. And the team is playing kind of like under his tutelage of how he wants them in a sense in the bench role.
Yeah.
Then he's gonna start taking a couple more shots, and it's gonna drop. It's just another weapon, right?
The other thing too that to me it's so important about how we watch Marc Gasol and how we as fans are grading his performance
Yeah.
is the fact that Serge Ibaka, the things that Serge Ibaka does, it like screams out at you.
Yeah.
Not only on the box score, but like those huge blocks, cool. Like that's obvious, right?
The shot
Serge
from the
Ibaka,
elbow.
yeah, the elbow jumper.
Yep.
When Serge is in the game, that's how he's going to be effective,
course.
knocking down that elbow jumper. You're always going to see that.
Yeah.
Gasol, whether he's scoring or not, like how many post touches do the Raps even give him, right?
Exactly.
How many shot attempts does Gasol even have? I'm going to
Yeah.
look it up in this game tonight, but shot
It's 3 of
attempts,
6.
he took 6 shots in
Yeah.
this game. Serge Ibaka in the starting lineup had 7.
Get 2
right?
steals though, a block, quiet steals
Yeah,
though. You know,
and
like,
it's just
not
making-
loud ones like Ibaka.
Yeah, just making these little plays here and there, setting great screens, which is another thing that sounds super nerdy, but if you're paying attention, it's just a great problem for the Raptors to have because you win either way. Because those two are good players.
Those nerdy screens, or like you say, are what lead up to the nice Siakam slams or
Exactly.
the
wide
three
open Kyle Lowry
Oh,
three.
yes. Yeah.
Kyle Lowry said a couple games ago, he was like, with Gasol in the lineup, like it makes his job so easy. Like he
Yes.
knows if he cuts, he's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
And you'll notice, someone
He'd be
pointed
more
out the stat
riskier,
the other
too.
day, but the Raptors' assist numbers have gone up since Gasol's been on the team. And the reason is ball movement is contagious. You know that
30 more today.
less and less you see the Toronto Raptors, whether Kawhi's in or not.
Mm-hmm.
Less and less to me, you see with the Toronto Raptors, guys just taking it one-on-one because, you know, one of the things I always try to point out is when you can tell someone was shooting before they even got the ball because they just haven't shot the ball in a while.
Yeah.
So the guy gets the ball, boom, I'm shooting it because I haven't shot yet.
Yeah.
You don't see that nearly as much because there's a trust factor here with this ball movement that I'm going to get the ball back if I
Eventually.
make the correct
Yep.
basketball play.
Yep.
I cut, I move, whatever, read and react. It's perfect.
Good point. Yep.
Raps looked really good. I got to give them a lot of credit for this
Yeah,
game
they-
because to blow
They
out
surprised
the
me.
Miami Heat, that's
Like
a
that,
big
yeah.
win. That's a big win.
On the end of a somewhat of a mini road trip, but those are always the toughest games, right?
Yep.
Especially in Miami, guys. Like,
Totally. Let's get to some
Comment.
comments here.
up,
Someone says,
Instagram?
"Done with YouTube for now. I'm here to talk shit." Okay, sure. Ready to take your comments. Someone says, "Ayo, shout out from Washington D.C."
oh wow,
Cool. Shouts to you guys. Hope you enjoyed the pod. Someone says, "Love what you're doing, Sheldon. Really appreciate it. Thank you from DC." Hope we don't. Hope we give you some positive light to talk
Yeah,
about
we
because
have,
I know.
we have no more Beal talk.
Well,
We did a
yeah.
bunch of podcasts before, but thank you for joining.
Yeah, totally. Let's see here. Someone says, keep up the good work. Love the show. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Someone says, had to get in. Big up to the crew as well. Someone says, I want to see this peak with better teams. Well, that's going to you play who's in front of you.
Yeah.
They got OKC, a home and home with OKC coming up. So
Yeah.
that'll be a test. I mean, anytime you're playing against LeBron,
If
that's a
LeBron's
test.
now on
if
a
he plays.
minute restrict, yeah.
Who knows what they're
I
doing?
mean, I was saying that to you too as well. The Raptors are in kind of a weird situation in the standings.
yeah.
Where yes, they could still catch the Milwaukee Bucks for the first seed in the Eastern Conference, pretty much the first seed overall, actually.
Yeah.
But they're too good of a team. Third, so they're kind of in this second.
You're
right?
locked in.
And yeah, Kawhi's taking load management games. Game 4 when I said the over under.
Yeah,
By
yeah,
the way,
yeah.
if you're keeping
I'm wrong.
track, guys. But it's just like this is now the time for Nurse to shuffle around a couple things, right? Because they're in this such a weird, like in the spot where,
Yeah.
right? This is where Nurse can kind of shuffle around, and then we have Cleveland Lakers coming in, and hopefully LeBron plays. So I mean, just there's a little bit more to talk about, right?
Yeah. Also, too, I'll admit here where, there's certain games where I know I've called out Nick Nurse in terms of just saying, oh, well, what's with this rotation?
Yes.
Why'd you let the bench in for so long? But you're right, and he's right. This is the time where you need to test those things out and
Yeah.
figure out who are your guys, what lineups
Yeah.
work, who plays together, test things out, figure it out. And, I've been saying it all along. The load management thing, people keep looking at it in the sense of Kawhi Leonard's out, what the hell? But I feel like the opportunities
the
given
other
to
guys.
others,
Yep,
yeah,
you're a
that
big
the
proponent
load
of that.
management has provided. Like, do we see Pascal at the level that he's at now without all these games where I
Have to
want to
defer.
say without Kawhi, he's averaging like 20. I think he came into this game averaging 27 and 11 in like the last however many games without Kawhi
Kawhi.
Leonard. And it's just, do we see that without, the load management stuff?
Yes.
McCaw getting into the lineup, getting those extra
Getting
minutes.
starting minutes, yeah.
Yeah, Norm getting those extra shots, whoever the extra shots are coming from. The fact that you made a trade for Marc Gasol and you're still trying to work out him and Serge Ibaka's minutes, but you need their scoring.
Yep.
Those extra games where you get to test that out.
Yeah.
To me, that's a big thing. Also, I feel like not just having to rely on Kawhi gives Kyle the confidence that he needs. He needs those games, right?
Big time. And you could see, I mean, he's coming off a triple-double. Balled out again today.
How much do you love when you see the Kyle Lowry hits a three in front of the other team's bench and then just turns and he's like talking shit? Like,
he's
that's
never
going
to lose that. That's just Kyle, right?
It's so
and
good.
That's what we love, the little bulldog mentality.
So good. Kyle Lowry.
This is what we needed, guys. I was one of them too. I'll put my hand up. I was nervous about him. Nervous about the injuries.
Everyone
nervous
was.
about his shot.
Yeah.
Nervous about his interest level and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Starting this season. And he went on a little rut.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is the peak of him. But I mean, if we could get some sustainability like this, it's great news for the playoffs.
Another huge game for Kyle. He was a leading scorer for the Raps with 24 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. And again, he hit 6 threes in this game.
Yeah.
The confidence level that Kyle Lowry has been at, especially since the trade deadline, and I think he got a little extra juice after the trade deadline just because it's like, okay, yeah, we're going for this.
Yes.
Like, we're in this now.
Yep.
This is, we're legit. And you got to look around and think for a guy who's a vet like Kyle Lowry, how many more opportunities are you going to have like this where you really have championship aspirations? And, hey, I don't like talking too much about what'll happen who's winning the finals against Golden State, like whatever. Worry about that when you get there.
Yep.
Get there first. But in terms of getting to an NBA finals, that's the pinnacle for everybody's career. And,
of course.
And so we all were worried about Kyle Lowry coming into this season. How would he react without DeMar?
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. And there's been enough along the way that he has definitely shown that he's up to the challenge.
Of course.
And they mentioned it during the game, the load management of Kyle. Does he rest in certain games? Does Kyle Lowry not want to play games?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Like
he strikes me as a guy that wants to play.
Yeah, and I mean, the kettle's hot right now. Just keep him on, right? And I don't know. I don't have the stats exactly in front of me right now, but I mean, maybe the closed chapter against the Mar here might have been like, okay,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Focused now.
Yeah.
Listen, he's a professional. I'm not here
I know what you
to
mean,
state or say that that's what he was. That's what he was thinking or his mind state. But I mean, you don't know, right? It was something that was talked about. So he's been playing a lot better after that game. Since that game.
Totally agree. Kyle Lowry. Yeah, and I mean, we know obviously that he's like DeMar's his guy. So obviously that would take an emotional toll on him. That's a thing, right? Like they probably had how many countless conversations about getting to the NBA finals themselves or, frustrating conversations after losing to LeBron, right? So,
and then LeBron leaves and they think this is our shot and it's taken from them.
Yeah.
In a sense, right?
For sure. But it's just great. And the moves that have been made by this team, I brought this up during the game.
Masai's executive of the year.
Like,
pretty much, right?
When they
guys?
showed, here's the thing. When they showed Fred VanVleet on the bench, I said to you.
You made a great point.
Last year, Fred VanVleet was the third most important Raptor. If we go back to last year's playoffs, remember he was hurt. It was 2-2 in Washington, right? Remember they won the first 2 games, then they lost the next 2 in Washington, and there was a quote from Stephen A. Smith saying that Kyle Lowry was pointing over at Fred VanVleet, who was injured, saying we need that guy, and he's not in the lineup right now. Fred VanVleet was the third most important Raptor last year's team. This year's team, they don't really miss a beat because they just signed Jeremy Lin, plug and play, into Fred VanVleet's minutes. Now, would the Raptors be better with Freddie right now? Of course. But the drop off, he's not the third most important guy on the team right now.
You could make the point maybe 4th, 5th. Yeah. I mean, we were naming them off, right? We're not gonna do that right now, but we're naming off all the guys, right? That then we're like, it's
just crazy. The top
Ibaka plays this year.
The top tier talent of this Toronto Raptors team.
Good problem to have.
Yes, and that's why I keep thinking they're gonna make the NBA Finals because they have veterans who have been there before. They're not going to be nervous in any situation. You have the biggest problem was the legit go getter when the moment gets too tough. who's getting the ball, who's going to show up to play. And too many times before, it's like Norm Powell.
And on the defensive side as well, too.
Also true, which we know was a problem, well documented with your boy DeMar DeRozan. But now you look at this team and it's just, okay, cool. Their record, even without Kawhi Leonard, continues to be so good.
Yeah.
So the depth of this team, what Masai and company and that whole front office has done within a year to make this team all in.
Without really shattering their roster.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. Let's get to some more comments here before we wrap up on this game. But someone says, that's our face and style, ball movement, and fast break. Totally true. I'd also add defense into that.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you get into the playoffs, you are going to just run some teams out of the gym because we know that the Raptors' defensive intensity, they kind of flick a switch.
Yes.
Right? When you have Danny Green, Kawhi, and Siakam all out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a thing where it's turned up and it's like, okay, we're going to get stops here. But again, the McCaw in the starting lineup adds such another level of energy and picking up the pace and forcing the team to play faster. And they don't want to play faster.
Right.
But the Raptors can. That's a key.
Yeah.
Another comment here. Someone says, I love what Siakam is doing, but I still feel periodically he plays out of control. Still, though, definitely MIP.
You said that before?
I know. It's almost like I wrote that comment to put it in, right?
But a ghostwriter in there?
It's my burner account, right? Here's the thing with Pascal. I think he is great. There's no, like, it's not, when we're talking about stuff or critiquing, it's not to say that he's bad or that, like, it's just understanding the next level, right? And
when to take that shot.
Yeah, when to take that shot, when to force the, 1-on-3 drive, like tough spinning layup over 3 guys. It's those little things. But at the same time, I'm a Jay-Z guy, so I always bring up the gift and the curse. That what makes him good is that exact same energy. So it's kind of tough to rein that in, and you kind of got to accept those mistakes at this point of his career.
And again, like, to further my point that I just said, the position that the Raptors are in at this moment, and pretty much for most of the year, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of where you could get away with trying stuff like that, right? I'm sure he's been told, just do what you got to do, right? Come playoff time, it's gonna be a different story.
Yeah. Also, too, if we really think about it, the position that Pascal Siakam is in with this team in terms of he's not the centerpiece guy, right? No. Like, he's not the focal point of the team, of the offense. And so you can live and die with those. You can have those mistakes, and it's okay. It's not like he's Kawhi or he's a Kyle Lowry where you need him to not turn over the ball because you need him to do. It's like, no.
Best spot to be in as an athlete sometimes.
Exactly.
Right? The Phil Kessel thing. I always said in the hockey terms, right? Phil Kessel was not a leader.
Yeah.
But put him with a leader, Crosby.
Yeah.
He'll play out. And he did, right? Yeah. Siakam's in a great spot. You're right.
Yeah, he is doing well. And I definitely think that he definitely is still in control for the most improved player.
Definitely.
Although it's become
tight.
It's become a competition for sure, which is interesting, but nothing wrong with that at the same time. Also, too, Siakam turned into a GIF or GIF. How do I pronounce that? Anyways, the when he got the dunk happened and they showed the bench reacts of Siakam.
That was funny if you guys saw. I don't know who was the Miami player that did it.
Was it Derek Jones Jr.? I think it was.
I think it was. Anyways, guys, at the end, like towards the end of the game,
that dunk was crazy.
I grabbed you. I was like, oh! You were setting up. I'm like, wow. So they showed the replay. And Siakam was just holding it. And it wasn't even his team. It was like, oh my God.
It was so crazy.
You had to respect. That was a crazy. He jumped out of the gym on that one.
Yeah, it's such a crazy dunk. And
that's great about
it was Derek
Siakam.
Jones Jr.
That's a good, like, you want that character, right? That's great.
Yeah.
Like, just, he loves it. You could tell.
Yeah.
He loves ball.
The bench. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yes. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because, again,
he's a fan.
And he's gotten the opportunity, these young guys have gotten the opportunity to grow up in this winning culture because they showed the board during the game. Yeah. It's 6 straight years of playoffs for the Raptors, which I want to say is like top 5 in terms of longest current streaks in the NBA. You've grown up with winning, and that's fun.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
There's something to say about having your first few seasons in that culture as opposed to the losing culture that this organization's been for the majority of its existence.
Yeah.
Right?
Some players like in Siakam's place could be put in a points, kind of be the leader that he's kind of showing, but on a losing team.
Yeah.
where it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter.
It's
The
way
fact that he's
better
getting
in
to do
this,
this, get all his shots up, get better, game in, game out, and be on a winning team with veteran players like we have on the Raptors.
Yeah, it's a great
Perfect
spot.
scenario. Yeah.
Perfect scenario for a young buck with his skill set as well.
Of course.
And a team that, for the most part, is very unselfish. As we mentioned, the ball movement, vets who understand, like, because the strength of Siakam, his glow up doesn't happen unless the other players allow it to happen as well, right? We always talked about the Kyle Lowry factor in the role he played with DeMar DeRozan in terms of he wanted DeMar to be a perennial all-star.
That's why he
and
deferred.
And he deferred to him and allowed that to happen. And we're seeing the same thing with Pascal right now. And one thing that we've been talking about for the whole year that has improved, I would say at least over the last 5 games, is the chemistry with Kawhi and Siakam. I feel like lately we've seen them, drive and kick to each other in other situations earlier on in the year.
Yep.
They might
I
have
remember you
forced up a
saying
shot.
that. Yep.
Yeah. More comments here from Instagram. Someone says, oftentimes when Kawhi doesn't play, it seems like the ball moves much more and guys get more open shots. Obviously, we are a better team when Kawhi plays, but I'd like to see a bit more movement.
Good point. That's what I was saying.
Yep, that's
And I don't
exactly
know
what
the
you
stats,
said. Yeah.
But I mean, pretty much a point to that is they give the ball a lot to Kawhi. The ice. Well, I'll just with that point, I wanted to bring up something I heard out of the top 20 players in the NBA, points per game.
Okay.
Kawhi, other than Mr. No Dribble Shoot, Klay Thompson.
Okay.
Kawhi touches the ball the less, the least.
Oh, okay.
Other than Klay Thompson. Out of the top 20
That's interesting.
points per game,
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard has a ball the least amount of time,
Okay.
possession-wise,
Okay.
other than Klay Thompson.
That's interesting. That makes sense, though, because he's just super efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. And also,
Plus,
too,
when he has it, he shoots a lot. You know what I mean? It's not like he passes, gets it back, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where
it's
I heard
like
that
Kyle
from,
Lowry
but I
running.
did hear.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry's like more handling the ball.
Yep.
He's more in possession of the ball than Kawhi.
Of
Like
course,
the
it's
offense
going to be
doesn't
Clay's going to be number one in that one, right? He's a catch and shoot guy, but
totally.
Yeah. It's a good little stat.
For me though too, I also think the ball movement. That's also why I think Marc Gasol in the starting lineup will help so much because I think having him in the starting lineup will help Kawhi with the ball movement because it forces more ball movement and it also just gives him easier baskets. Like the Pelicans game was a great example of he was just driving to the cup so easily. The ball movement was there, the cuts were there, and that's why I think Gasol should be in the starting lineup because you force feed more ball movement into your starting lineup as opposed to, the tendency that they have where it's just give it to Kawhi and get out of his way because we're down 6.
Yeah. Well, like we're the great debate, like one of our famous commenters, Jeff Berg.
Yes.
It's great guys too, by the way. He starts up, there's a good debate if you go on YouTube and you see all the comments.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not putting words in his mouth or paraphrasing, but I think he said something along the lines where Gasol might have to score a bit more in order for the trade to make a bit more sense because I guess JV is going off.
Yeah.
But like we said, there's so many little, and I know he's a smart basketball guy.
Yeah.
Jeff Berg is the commenter, but
Yeah.
there's the little things that you don't see open up the floor and all that I think still makes the trade. You had to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, too, with JV, it's a great point you make, but the same thing with Serge Ibaka, the same thing with JV, the things that they do, like, that's their strength. We know from watching JV for all these years, if you give him the touches, he's going to score 20 plus a night. The problem is the way that the Raptors team was always constituted in terms of DeMar and Kyle, or now with Kawhi and Kyle, you didn't need JV to score the 27 points. The Memphis Grizzlies do, right?
Yeah.
It's the NBA. Somebody's going to score. And that's not a diss on JV. It's just they will use him more.
Gasol isn't there. Obviously, he got traded for him, so it's a bit more touches for JV. I mean, listen, I want JV to succeed.
We all do, definitely.
And even from a side, as a GM, whenever you do trades, not that I've done trades, but when you do trades, you want both teams to win.
Yeah.
Right? Because then in the future, you might be able to do more trades, right? So it's a good, it's a win for both teams.
Yeah.
We get veteranship, a great passer, and they get some young agility, athletic guys in DeLon and JV, right? CJ's not playing well, but
it's just two organizations that are in two different
spectrums.
Yeah. and it worked out for both. I
Yeah.
definitely think that's a thing, and I just think the Gasol stuff, I guarantee you guys, I've said this on the last podcast, and I'll continue to say this. I guarantee you there will be at least 2 or 3 games that Marc Gasol wins for the Raptors in the playoffs, where you're going to be like, oh shit, okay, that's why we got this guy. Another comment here from Alex on Instagram. He says, made a great point during the broadcast. He said, Lin and Gasol additions, and because of that, he's playing re-energized and focused basketball. I could agree with that.
Yeah, it shows you're.
I could agree with
you're
that.
going for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Lin hasn't played the best.
No,
but he will. He'll get. I mean, it was a perfect timing too, as Van Fleet went down, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think too, if I'm not mistaken, in that same Jeremy Lin interview with Danny Green, he said that he might have found out from Kyle that it was going down, like because it happened right around the time that the Raptors were playing the Hawks. And I think it was Kyle that said it because Danny Green was laughing because Jeremy Lin had no idea. And Kyle was like, yo, man, so you ready? And Lin's like, what are you talking about? And then they talked about it and they were just like, how do you even know that this is happening? And Danny Green was laughing. He's like, that's just Kyle, man. I don't know. Kyle just knows shit sometimes.
Okay, so Kyle knew that Atlanta was buying out Jeremy Lin?
There were discussions about maybe the Raptors being able to get Jeremy Lin.
If Atlanta buys him out.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Right. So it was just a funny little story because Danny Green's reaction was Kyle just knows stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Guy in the league, man. Yeah.
Well, also that's as much as the Masai and Kyle thing, we gets turned into, he hates Masai. I'm sure they have a good working relationship in the sense that, hey, the guy gave you the big bag. He gave you a lot of money. There's no way that you're actually that mad at Masai Ujiri. That's not real.
Winning solves all those problems.
Of course.
And they go to the finals, they'll be friends again.
Here's a comment. Someone says, worried about load management for Kyle, Serge Ibaka, and Pascal Siakam. These guys need rest too. Not sure why Lowry played 35 minutes. I'm not worried about load management for Pascal because he's young.
Siakam. He's 24. He's good.
Serge, I'm with you though, and Kyle
for sure.
Again, the point that they made during the broadcast was maybe you find other ways, right, where you have blowout games like this where Kyle doesn't have to play in the fourth quarter, and that's how you rest him. Yep. Because Leo said this again, hat tip to Leo, and I prefer Leo than Jack just because I feel like Leo drops more basketball knowledge here and there, whereas Jack's more energy, funny energy guy. He'll drop you some basketball knowledge, but it's more so energy and fun with Jack, right? But Leo said with Kyle Lowry, he's a rhythm player. Yes. And so maybe you don't want to sit him and rest him for load management because he's in such a good rhythm right now. Of course, you want to keep that rolling.
Also, remember, we don't see it, but if Kyle doesn't sit for a game, maybe he doesn't practice, right? Yeah. He has a different off day than everybody else if they go, right, the day before or whatnot.
Someone says under Kawhi, Pascal can become unstoppable. Also OG, but that's just a hope and a dream. Yeah, underneath, having Kawhi Leonard there,
Pascal,
it's great.
Yes. OG, again, it's just touches and room, right? Whose minutes is OG going to take for him to flourish like that with Kawhi, with the starting lineup, with Danny? But he's got a lot of times, 21.
Another, someone says, that sequence that ended up in the Lin behind the back pass to OG cutting, definitely. And that's, again, ball movement, energy with that lineup. And it's just ball movement and back cuts. That's what you're going to see.
Fun.
That's what the bench has to do. The bench played really well tonight, and it was from the defensive end. Yeah. Those guys were defending, and they were running the floor, and the ball movement was great. Yeah, that's how they got to play.
3-on-1s, 2-on-1s.
Shouts to my dude here from Calgary because I remember him from the last podcast. He says, crazy that McCaw didn't play at all last game, but he gets to start today and plays great. He's going to get playoff minutes for sure. I could see that in the sense where if you need a spark, you need some defensive energy, especially if you end up playing the Celtics at some point, and you just throw McCaw out there and say, hey, guard Kyrie full court hard for 4 solid minutes and just tire him out. Those are little things that I could see McCaw,
for sure,
getting burns and doing that.
I'm a fan of him. I mean, he's learned the system pretty quick. I was a little nervous at first. I mean, the first couple games, I think me and you even mentioned it. Yeah. I thought he kind of looked lost. So there was just deferring a bit more. But that's normal, typical. Yeah. But I mean, he's fitting right in and looking like he knows everything.
The thing with McCaw to me that I
playing
love the
well.
most is he knows his role.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious when you're coming from Golden State where it's clear.
But games like this is what he's used to. The ball movement, the quick catch and shooting.
Yes.
Right?
So he makes the extra
fast
pass.
breaks, yeah.
He makes the extra pass. He gives up his good shot for a better shot for Danny Green to knock down the three. He's always going to play defense, knowing that that's where he's going to get his minutes from. Hustling, guarding full court, jumping in the passing lanes. He's just a great, great role player. And you know that come playoff time, when you need something that's just reliable.
Of course.
Right? Like, let's say you don't know what you're getting from Norm, or you don't know what you're getting from OG or Lynn or whatever. It's like, okay, well, at least you know McCaw's going to give you energy for 5 minutes that he's out there.
Question for you, too. Now, Jody Meeks, we didn't renew the 10-day contract, right?
No.
So is that a spot opened on the roster for the Raptors? Is it just, how would that dictate for
that
the
I don't
playoffs
know.
or for
that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure you can still add a player.
But they can't after March 1st. They can't play in the playoffs, right?
If they're on a roster already.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Golden State adding Bogut is allowed, because he wasn't on the NBA. He wasn't on an NBA roster.
Okay. Because there were talks about Martin Gortat.
Gortat,
yeah.
Which, like, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just extra backup, maybe to then rest Serge down the stretch.
There you go.
Because
Yeah.
if Serge doesn't play, your centers you just have Gasol and Boucher. Right?
Ooh,
like, that's it.
I want to get a
not mad
couple
at
more
that.
minutes.
But I'm just saying that's a tough
course,
ask,
yeah.
right? To have Boucher playing the 5 for like a long extended minutes in a game. But who knows? Maybe some of these games down the stretch.
Put him in those crucial games, yeah.
Why not, right?
Exactly.
At the same time. Let's see. If Norm and OG and McCaw can play like this in the playoffs, we're laughing. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to see. It's nice to watch a matchup against the Heat and not feel like we're being out-hustled. And we're not being bullied and out-hustled. Totally true. And the Miami Heat are known for being that bruising. They're bruising, defensive intensity, and diving for loose balls all over the place. And the Raptors really took that script and used it against the Heat. That was really great to see. Yeah. And you know what? Thanks to you guys for all these great comments. Again, shouts to you guys on Instagram. There's so many comments in here. Really appreciate it. As always, I love too when I start scrolling through and I can see that people are having their own conversation on IG while the podcast is going on.
Community.
Because that's what this is all about. We talk about it all the time, right? We just want a place to talk Raptors
we just
ball.
Open the thread.
Yes.
You open the thread. I come on when I can.
Exactly.
Speak some hoops with you. Talk hoops with everybody. And I know a lot of the people on there.
For sure. And I keep saying this, right?
It's a great way.
Obviously, we do this live, but it's available 24/7 whenever you want. You can comment and continue that conversation, because you can listen to it on the podcast, which is on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and of course YouTube. But those are where the comments are. That's where the conversation continues in between the games as well. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys have been such a major point in sharing this podcast and spreading the love that is this Raptors season, because that's all we're here to do. Yeah. Just talk about the Raps in the greatest season that the Raps franchise
How excited are we? Everybody is. I can't wait for the playoffs, especially the live shows, the comments, the podcast after when the playoffs are going. It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's when it's going to, the community is going to respond. We're going to blow up. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun just to know, because like I feel like I always felt like there's a bunch of Raptors fans out there that are underserviced. And so to do this project and realize that, yes, that is true. There are a lot of people there that would tune in and that do want to talk about Raptors all day, every day.
All day, every day.
Here for that. So really appreciate you guys. Of course, if you tune in live on Twitter at Shell Alexander, you can catch the podcast there live with your comments as well. Same thing on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Shouts to you guys for sure, making this show what it is. Thank you. Bellamo, where can the people find you, man?
Yes, always YouTube comments. And Instagram, Mike Bello _6. Hit me up, guys.
And again, guys, Raptors win. 125-104. Raptors set a franchise record for made threes with 21 made threes. And they shot the lights out. The ball movement was crazy. 30-plus assists for the Toronto Raptors team. They had just like crazy assist numbers in this game. The ball movement, like this is a picture-perfect game if you're Nick Nurse. Yes.
Right? And then you add Kawhi and Van Fleet.
Right? The team is hey, it's just more practices, as Kawhi likes to say. This was a good practice for the Raps. This was a good practice for the Raps. But we'll be back again. When do they play the Cavs? Tomorrow. Raptors, Cavs.
And LeBron and the Lakers Thursday
or something like that. Yeah, it's later on this week.
Tomorrow, the Cavs. Tristan Thompson, the Brampton man, and the Cavs.
Yes,
should be a good,
there's so much I could say there, but I'm just gonna let it go.
Save that for you and Webby.
Well, yes, guys, thanks for tuning in on this Wrap It Up podcast, because I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, tomorrow. See ya.
Peace.